Good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capalid, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget, brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capalid.
Thank you, Dialect. I'm actually an accredited financial counselor now, too.
Yeah. You have a lot of letters after your name. She's the AFC, CFP.
That's it.
I guess that's just it's just those. What should we add that to the intro? Should we make it a longer intro? And as you get further and further designations,
yes, we'll just do all of them.
It's going to be like a 6-minute show.
I'm going to stop after this. I know, 6 minutes of content, 30 minutes of all of my designations.
Well, you know that as we've been seeing, that's how a lot of folks like to do it. They like to talk about their resume a whole ton rather than give you information.
No, you can look this shit up online. It's all good. But I did want to brag about it a little bit because I just passed the test and I'm really excited to be an accredited financial counselor. The main difference between a CFP and an AFC is really the content doesn't really overlap. AFCs do focus a lot on debt and credit, budgeting, saving, a lot of the foundational stuff. And today we're actually talking about credit and really specifically the Equifax breach.
Yeah, before we get into that, I just want to mention, if you saw any of our Facebook Lives that we did, we were at the conference for the AFC folks, really good people.
Yes,
And one of the reasons why, she's saying it doesn't overlap, and it sounds like to you it overlaps if you are not super familiar with the CFP, if your only experience is Pam, is that Pam is not like a lot of the CFPs. CFPs are usually dealing with wealth that is starting out in very large amounts, so they don't deal as much with things like that.
We're managing, as a CFP, you're mostly managing wealth, and as an AFC, you're helping people build wealth, and I think that is probably one of the biggest differences.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Speaking
I figured I need both, and especially to be able to talk about something like the Equifax breach in a way that gives me context for all of you all.
Equifax breach, remember that? It was like 30 scandals ago.
I know, right? So many things. This was back in September 7th is when we all found out and we all freaked out.
Yeah, we wanted to give this one a little bit of room to see where things were going, see what's
and
what's
maybe
up with
you forgot about it. Maybe you signed up for credit monitoring. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you freeze your credit report. Maybe you didn't. You still have time. There's always time. We wanted to bring it back around. One, because the Equifax deal for doing a year of credit monitoring is expiring in January. So you do still have time. But also, we want to remind you that it is really important to monitor your credit one way or another. And there's lots of ways to do it. And there's some free ways to do it. There's some paid ways to do it. But before we jump into the Equifax breach, let's do a quick little investment appetizer.
Investment appetizer. It's the food before you eat your food.
Investment
for your brain.
It's an investment for your brain.
Yeah, so today I want to talk about insider trading.
Insider trading. People have heard of that. I've heard of that. I know about insider trading. That's the stuff that gets you arrested.
Yes, if it's illegal.
Wait.
There is a legal version of insider trading.
There's legal insider trading?
Yeah, well, because if you own stock in a company, and you are part of sort of the company's non-public dealings, then you are doing insider trading by selling and buying any company stock.
Well, yeah, because you're in there and you already know. I just thought insider trading was when you were sharing it with other folks, right?
Well, insider trading is when you actually trade stock based on non-public information at the time. So if you have stock, and that's what happened with this. Actually, there was one thing that happened recently with Amazon. And it's what you're describing, where basically an Amazon financial analyst named Brett Kennedy was charged with insider trading.
Of course, his name was Brett Kennedy.
I know, right? He shared it with a fellow University of Washington alumni, Maziar Rezakhani. He shared information about Amazon's 2015 first quarter earnings before it was released to the public. Rezakhani paid Kennedy $10,000 for the information, and basically made $115,000, almost $116,000 trading Amazon based on that. So that's one of the more common examples of insider trading.
And that's the illegal one.
Where you sell information. Well, it's also legal if Brett Kennedy used that information to sell or buy Amazon stock before the quarterly earnings were released to the public.
Okay, so the illegal parts of it are, one, selling the information, which that makes sense. I get
Right,
it.
yeah.
And the other one is before this info goes public, if you make the money deal.
Right, yeah. So there's usually, especially with company stock, there's usually blackout periods. And also with some higher level executives, you're only allowed to sell a certain percentage at a time. Either that's part of the contract or it's sort of frowned upon. If you sell more than a certain percentage, then what are you doing as one of the top executives who have most of your have money in the company stock?
Yeah,
right?
but it feels like there's a long lead time between frowned upon and you going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also as long as the information is public and that's why you're basing the buying or selling of a security, then it is legal insider trading. It becomes illegal when you are using information that the public does not know to make money by buying or selling a stock.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that 50 cent one that everyone talks about, that was actually legal, I guess, because that was public.
That was public. That's why he didn't get arrested.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You see, that's the funny thing. I didn't understand insider trading, so I was like, oh, I don't know why I didn't get arrested for that, because it sounds like
was
all the
outside
other
trading.
insider trading, but it wasn't at all insider
He
trading.
tweeted it out to
Right.
everybody. He made it public. It was public. It was public fake information, but it was still it wasn't real.
So the moral of the story, as we're
Don't
learning,
listen to 50 Cent.
What?
No.
No. Well, yeah, that's always the moral. But the moral of the story is, and as we've learned this year, if you're gonna lie in public.
Yes, lie in public, exactly. Then that means your insider trading is not illegal. And the reason why I wanted to talk about insider trading actually is, so Equifax announced this breach on September 7th, but the actual theft happened on July 29th. And 3 days after the breach in July, so basically like early August, some top executives actually sold a bunch of their Equifax shares. And Equifax is holding the line and saying that these executives had no knowledge of the intrusion at the time they sold their shares. That's their official statement. But it is a little fishy, right? For the Equifax executives, 3 days, 4 days after the Equifax breach happened in July, ended up selling a bunch of their shares.
Yeah.
And then the public didn't find out until September 7th, many weeks later.
That's kind of hard to defend.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that is beside the point at this point, because the real big issue is 145 million Americans' data was stolen.
Yeah, this is about what it deals for you. We're not worried too much about their thing.
And if you don't know what Equifax is, because you've never opened anything with Equifax, I actually had someone ask me that. They were like, so why would I be affected if I've never like opened anything with Equifax? I've never even heard of them. And
they have heard of you.
They have heard of you. Yes, exactly. So if you've ever applied for a credit card, if you've ever had a landlord or employer check your credit, Equifax is one of the 3 credit bureaus. It's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, who basically collect credit information and sell it to lenders so that they know what your credit worthiness is. I don't know how they got the permission to do all this shit, but these are the 3 big ones. Equifax is one of them. And so they basically have, and if you think about the numbers, 145 million Americans' data was stolen, right? Which sounds like half the country, except it's 145 million adult Americans' data who was stolen. So almost every adult in America probably.
That's like everybody, yeah.
That's pretty much everybody. So if you don't know if you were affected, you were probably affected. So if you've ever taken out any debt or had your credit checked in any way, credit card, student loan, auto loan, you have a record with Equifax. They have your previous addresses, your social security numbers, your driver's licenses in some situations, credit card numbers, your current address, your past address, all of the lines of credit you've ever had, any information you've sent them, tax liens, all of it. Anytime a creditor has checked your credit, they have a record of that. So they have a ton of personal information, and a lot of this information is information that is lifetime, right? Birthdays, social security numbers, driver's licenses, this kind of stuff doesn't change in a year. It's not something you can switch out like a credit card. And so I feel like that's what is quite scary about this particular
terrifying.
breach. And even though it's out of the news, it's something that we may be seeing the effects of it for years to come. And that is sort of, we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, because Equifax is offering free credit monitoring for a year. But really what a lot of people are saying is, then these identity thieves will just wait for a year and then start using this stuff. So we have to figure out how to be vigilant in these times. At the end of the show, we are going to talk a little bit about how people are recommending or like thinking through like and having thought pieces about like what should happen to Equifax in light of this, because this is something where, again, like I talked to people who had no idea that Equifax even had their information because they're not a public entity necessarily. They're not a consumer-facing entity.
Well, and that's the thing of it is we're finding out a lot of people who have access to our data and information about us. And I've seen, even personally, the number of people who've tried to defraud me or phish me on emails or tried to make purchases with stuff. Like, all of that has been growing. And I've been hearing that anecdotally all around from people I know. So, like, not even Equifax, but all of these companies who have all of this access to all of our information.
They've been entrusted with it.
Yeah, how do we allow this to continue? And what does this mean for, like, should we all just get new Social Security numbers? Do we just need to start over again?
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the thing. It sounds like one of them things where it's like, so we messed up huge and we breached and betrayed everybody's trust.
And we still get to exist.
Well, we're just going to exist because it's sort of like the banks when they were bailing them out. It's like, yeah, I know this is all your fault, but we don't know how to go on without this.
Right, exactly. Are they too big to fail, right?
They weren't too big to fail. They failed.
They failed.
They were failures failing.
Right.
Equifax, you're a failure.
Yeah.
If you see somebody who works for Equifax, curse them out or laugh at them. We give you permission.
Oh, some of them are just people trying to make a paycheck.
Yeah, we all just people trying to make a paycheck.
Oh, man. Yeah. So Equifax, basically, the next day after the breach, they put up a website called EquifaxSecurity2017.com. John Oliver did a piece on Equifax a couple weeks ago. And
I guess maybe you don't need to do the hit piece if John Oliver already did it.
Yeah, right. Well, one of the biggest sort of complaints and observations that people had was, one, EquifaxSecurity2017.com required you to enter the last 6 digits of your social security number.
Wait, there's not... How many digits do they think are in your social security number? That's
well, and it's odd because it's usually they want the last 4, right?
I'm saying that's
but
like
you know
most
what's
of them.
crazy is I bet because so many Americans were affected that they needed the last 6 because otherwise there'd be duplicate last 4 of your social people.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right? So they asked for, first of all, a ton of personal information in this website that may or may not be secure, because how can we trust them?
But
right?
I mean, but at this point, the cat is all sorts of out the bag.
Well,
and
that's
running
the other
around cutting
thing.
people.
So, I mean, I sent out an email to clients immediately as soon as this happened, and the funniest responses that I got, I think, and I didn't even think about this. I shouldn't even say it was funny, because it was more like, holy shit, I didn't even think about like how people would see this. Is
that kind of funny?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, I sent them an email saying, hey, your information may have been hacked. Check out EquifaxSecurity2017.com. And a bunch of my clients wrote back and said, I just want to make sure this is you and you're not trying to hack me.
I'm saying, right?
Because that's what it looks like. That's the state that we're living in right now.
I've actually gotten emails that say your account has been hacked. Please click this link, and then it wants you to click the link and put in your information. And then when you look at the actual link, it's clearly not that website. And so, yeah, I understand people being worried about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I tried to make it sound like as much as me as possible, but that also is something that can be replicated if someone takes time to read. Like, if someone breaks into your email account and takes time to read your emails and learns how you speak to people, I've seen that happen. I've heard of that happening where it sounds like the actual person, because they figured out like how you end emails, like how you start emails, like what the format of your emails are. It's so crazy. So
I would be really impressed if someone is able to duplicate the stuff that I say and how I talk on email.
I know, right? I know. There's some pros out there though. So one of the things so the website is, and please, like, write this down exactly, Equifax Security 2017.2017.com, because one of the things that John Oliver kind of exposed is that there's a bunch of copycat websites out there, including Security Equifax 2017.com. That is not the right one. The correct one is Equifax Security 2017.com. And he found a bunch of these copycats, and it was one of those things where like Equifax didn't think to buy up all of these domains that could end up being like phishing scams again.
This is why I don't want to be doing all this facial recognition, thumbprint, and barcode on my neck stuff. Because if this is also hackable,
It was so I don't know how easy it was, but I mean a lot of people's information was stolen, and for Equifax to not have enough of the
I'll tell you exactly how
security to
easy
do
it
that.
was. It happened.
Right. Someone did it. So when you sign up for EquifaxSecurity2017.com, Equifax's Band-Aid is, again, you get free credit monitoring from Equifax for a year, and you don't have to put in your credit card. It automatically gets canceled after a year. Half the country, again, 145.5 million people who have a credit report had their information stolen. So more than half the country, really. Some stats before we go into a song. $9.4 billion is the annual combined revenue of Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They could give away some free credit monitoring for longer than a year, motherfuckers. Like, come on. That's so crazy. $16 billion is money that was stolen as a result of identity theft in the last year. In the last year, guys. $16 billion. Identity theft is the #1 growing crime because it feels like it's harmless. You don't have to attack a person. You can take stuff digitally. There's this whole black market of trading information on the internet.
People are trading them in bundles.
Yeah, so it's up 5% from 2015, and with this breach, who knows, right?
You don't have to answer this now, but unless it's like one sentence, maybe after the break. But like, what do we need Equifax for?
Right,
like,
there's two other ones.
We
right?
have TransUnion and Experian.
Why did we need 3 in the first place? I guess 3's fine. I don't know. Do we need Equifax to still exist?
Yeah, you're talking about
That's
too big
the
to
ultimate
fail.
question. And this is something where I did find some good sort of think pieces on like what can Equifax make up for this. There's basically like one of the articles wrote something about like Equifax needs the death penalty for corporations, which we'll talk about at the end as well.
Ooh,
like,
I love that.
Yeah, like what needs to happen to Equifax? What consequences need to take place? I mean,
I would follow that rock band around the country.
Death penalty for corporations.
That sounds amazing.
Right? Equifax shares have fallen 24% since the hack was announced. And basically what's interesting is this is considered a modest loss, which means investors don't expect the stock price to go to 0. So 24%, a quarter of the value. They probably assume that this is going to blow over. And I mean, we have a short memory. We have a short attention span. We have a short memory, especially in the news cycle, especially in media, which is partly why we wanted to bring this back up a couple months later to remind everybody, hey, find ways to check your credit, find ways to protect yourself. So after this song, we're going to go into some of the things that you can do. And I'm kind of afraid to hear what songs you found, Tyler.
Oh, well, no, we got a lot of appropriate stuff going on. We're going to start out in Dirty Jers with Nick Mercer, the song produced by the Stuyvesants. This song is called Security Breach from the record Broken Networks. And we'll be back in a minute. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio.
A little bit of privacy, can I get it somehow? Every time I walk around, I might as well just smile at the cameras on the traffic light, keeping me on foul. And if I do the crime, it's filmed for a trial. Can't get away with nothing, crazy surveillance, but how? Really though? A lot of fiber, no cereal, no bread, no weed, so we occupy Wall Street. It's not just about banks, it break down a lot of issues. Effective if the masses outnumber police pistols. We stand against the law, we so fed up, we no longer asleep, aware of the setup, so awake, so strung, no guitars at all, sirens outside stores, tax, liquor investments, sugar refreshments, all while you texting, cellular radiation, dangerous, forget it, too much profit loss to stop cancerous cause, life loss expected, heart disease is #1, feed us again. Preservatives ingested, can't live or drive past 55. Uncle Sammy Hagar, it's war if we draw. Cameras record now, taste your own medicine, go. Acting like you never said our dollar worth gold. It's on your word, print more, let's go. Inflation turned up, but the jobs is low. We forever in debt under the bank's control.
Take a picture of us. Everybody say money!
And we're back. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Security Breach by Nick Mercer. And we're here talking about the you know what?
The Equifax breach.
Yeah,
all kinds of breaches. Security breaches.
I'm really, this is so crazy to me.
It's so crazy that this happened. It's so crazy this was possible. It's so crazy how Equifax is dealing with it. It's so messy.
Well, and it's the sci-fi dystopian conspiracy theorist-y whole idea of like, well, if we put everything digital and put it all out there, someone's just gonna jack it all.
Well, and it's like that means like a group of people, like one group of people have access to all of this information and nobody knows who took it.
And mind you, I'm a Yahoo user, so I've been breached a bunch of times. Like I've certainly been used and abused on that end, so I'm familiar with like, oh no, we have to scramble and change everything again. But it's not even like just changing your password. You can't.
It's not.
Change the password on your social security number.
You can't. You can't change your socials. You can't change your birthday. You can't change your current address.
And credit stuff is like stuff for your whole life.
Yeah.
They base so much stuff on your credit. We just found out when we were at the AFC conference that what is it that they base how much your car insurance is?
Yes.
On your credit score more so than on your driving record.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Your credit score has become this gauge of how responsible you are as a consumer, as a borrower, as a person. It's like really like they call it the credit report for your life as an adult.
Well, I people love to lament the whole, the likes on your Facebook page and all that. It's not worth it. But they already been doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So this Equifax breach that happened, super scary. I sent many emails just trying to help people sort through like what really needed to happen. And I feel like there's a couple steps you can take in the short term. One is you can check your credit. So alerts on Credit Karma or Mint or another credit monitoring service, Credit Sesame. Your credit card company sometimes offers it. I know Capital One offers a free credit score. American Express offers a free FICO score. So one is really like looking at your credit report right now and making sure that nothing's going on. The other thing too is websites like Credit Karma and Mint and these other credit monitoring services will email you if there's been a change to your credit score. And that's usually an indication of something is up, right? Especially if you don't remember doing anything with it. So the thing with this, though, and monitoring your credit is it's not proactive. It's very much a reactive thing. So even Equifax's credit monitoring offer is like such a Band-Aid because really you're only going to catch what's happened after the fact. A lot of credit cards are great at catching identity theft while it's happening or before it's happening. They've put in a lot of precautions. They've learned some of your spending habits. Creepy in itself, but I remember when American Express sent me an email and called me and asked me, hey, are you at Forever 21 right now? Did you spend this money at Forever 21? And I remember calling them and saying, I've never shopped at Forever 21. And you know that because you have all of my spending info, right? You know all the places I've been. And so the credit card companies, they lose money on this too, which is why I feel like that people think it's this harmless crime when a credit card company, has to make somebody whole with identity theft. But a lot of credit card companies are really trying to figure out how to stymie the flood in a lot of
ways. Yeah, that's one thing I appreciate about that. Yeah, they're madder than us about this.
Yeah. And they, what's nice about using your credit card, one of the benefits of it is that you do have identity theft protection. When you use your credit card, you're only liable for up to $50 of the damage. And the credit card company, as long as you report it in time within 60 days, I believe, then the credit card company is required to make you whole. This is not necessarily the case with bank accounts, but your bank account information isn't as much at risk as your credit card information because, especially in this situation with Equifax, they have people's credit card information. They don't necessarily have your bank account information unless someone's skimming an ATM and, taking people's debit and PIN information. It's a little more difficult to take for banks. You also have less protection with banks. So credit monitoring is one thing. And again, credit card companies are pretty good at it and will make you whole. And also Credit Karma, Mint, Credit Sesame, your own credit card company might have good credit monitoring. Set up alerts to get emails anytime your score changes. I think that's probably the least expensive way to do it. Is Credit Karma definitely sells your information. Mint does not. I don't know what Credit Sesame situation is. Your credit card company already has your information. So it's really just a matter of like, this is the reactive way to do it. Another thing that you can do if you want to take it another step further is to do a credit fraud alert. And the credit fraud alert basically, and I would do this if you find that someone has taken your identity, first of all. If someone has used your credit card without you knowing or opened a credit card. A credit fraud alert is something you can put up for 90 days, and when you alert one credit monitoring agency, so Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, then they alert the other two. And basically for 90 days, anytime someone tries to open a credit card or open any line of credit in your name, this means that they have to contact you first before they approve the line of credit being opened.
You know, when I was saying earlier about like feel free to yell at Equifax employees, you're right. That's not fair. What's fair is that TransUnion employees and Experian employees, if you see Equifax employees or whatever conferences and stuff, y'all yell at them because they're making y'all jobs harder.
They are. It's true.
Y'all take that on.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you want to.
Equifax, like the first week, like had to hire more phone people because, because people were calling.
I guess don't yell at the phone people who
People were
just
calling,
got
trying
those
to put
jobs.
credit fraud alerts on, trying to put these credit freezes on, trying to get this credit monitoring, trying to see. Because the other thing that was frustrating about the website.
So
when
are you saying that this breach created new jobs?
Yes, Equifax, they're job creators. Exactly. They just felt the
Maybe
economy wasn't doing so well.
Just take the E out, right?
Yeah.
Just job creators.
Job creators. Yeah, right. Just seasonal. Just anytime there's a breach, So the credit fraud alert only lasts for 90 days, and then you can reset it for another 90 days. So this is a tool that's good to you, and it's free. And this is a tool that's good to use if you found yourself a victim of identity theft, because it's not very long term, but it's something that you may want to monitor in case someone's actively trying to open accounts under your name. The other thing is, I do want to talk about Equifax's credit monitoring, which is free for 1 year. There was a lot of controversy around it. One, because people thought that they were required to put in their credit card information.
Right.
And Equifax confirmed that with Trusted ID, which is their credit monitoring service, you will not be required to put in your credit card information. You will not be able to be charged after the free year is up, and you won't have to remember to cancel anything. The other thing that they've confirmed, because there was originally language in the credit monitoring contracts, there was originally language saying that you couldn't sue Equifax if you use their credit monitoring service. They did confirm that they removed that from their terms of use. So
sue away.
Yes, exactly. Well, and that might be happening. So we'll get to that in a minute.
All right, yeah.
That's happening.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say that might be happening. That's happening. Yeah. No, this is a nightmare. This is like a total disaster.
Well, and these things with these kind of lawsuits, I feel like you don't ever get actual justice out of it.
Right.
Those class action lawsuits, I've gotten those letters in the mail and be like, hey, remember that terrible thing that institution did to you? Here's $5. Right.
Yeah. They took hundreds of dollars from you. Here's $5 to make up for it. Who really got paid in this situation, right?
Maybe a lawyer?
Maybe a lawyer. Yeah. Well, and like, how much did it actually hurt? Did it actually even, is anything really going to take Equifax down in this situation? Unless there's actual like government intervention. And it's been a couple months. We don't have too many updates. Again, there's some think pieces. There's some people. There's some state attorney generals who have sued Equifax.
What happened to the whole capitalism thing? Shouldn't one of TransUnion just be absorbing them?
Right. You'd think so. It's like, you clearly don't know how to run your shit, Equifax. So let's collapse you.
Maybe this is the one that 50 Cent needs. 50, can you just get Equifax?
Yeah, exactly. Like, have their stock go down.
Well, call it 50 Facts now. I'm just saying, buy Equifax.
That's
just make
the
it yours.
craziest thing to me with the investors is them thinking like, oh, this wasn't a big enough deal. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the crazy thing is it's already out of the news cycle, right?
Come on. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in
right.
the
This is one of many things, but at the same time, it is already out of the news cycle because of all the other crazy shit that happened. This is one of many things that this can potentially affect you for the rest of your life, and it's really difficult to know, like, how this is going to pay out, how this is going to play out, I should say, and pay out, I guess. But it's really difficult to know what's going to happen for the average consumer. There's big picture stuff going on, and maybe Equifax needs to go, but that information is still out there. And so, not to freak you out, but these are the kind of things that we do need to be thinking about, and it's more important than ever to protect your information, to make sure that you are changing your passwords regularly, to make sure that you are, holding your information tight, that you are shredding those documents, that you are protecting information like your social security number, your driver's license, things like that, because now that things are getting more digital and getting more like internet heavy, I mean, the fact that my browser can save my credit card information and it's just so convenient because then I don't have to pull it out, or that Amazon saves your credit card information or whatever it is. The fact that you don't need to pull out your credit card to call a car. There's a lot of stuff that's just out there now, right? Apple Pay, where you just tap your phone and your credit card information lets you buy some shit at Walgreens. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole convenience thing of it,
Yeah, and just the fact that, like, the barrier to be a consumer is just that the barriers are going down so much more every day. And so this, I feel like, is a wake-up call in terms of what could happen and disasters that could happen, but there's a lot of stuff that we really need to watch out for as consumers. So another credit monitoring option that offers an insurance-like component is a company called LifeLock, which I just found out uses Equifax to pull their credit reports, motherfucker.
I was gonna say, I know LifeLock, yeah.
Yeah, LifeLock is actually the company that we recommended to private wealth management clients because of how comprehensive their coverage was. It was a combination of credit monitoring, identity monitoring in general. So it's not just like monitoring your credit, but also monitoring other aspects of your identity. And also they do have this insurance component where if someone were to steal your identity and you, like, let's say your tax refund got stolen, which is happening, everybody. Your tax refund got stolen. Someone filed your taxes under your social security number, took your tax refund. LifeLock's insurance will make you whole. And basically, if something were to happen, LifeLock's insurance would say, your tax refund was supposed to be $3,000. Here's $3,000. Equifax and things like renter's insurance do have what they call identity theft insurance, but they will not make you whole. They will only pay for the costs that it takes to fight and get your money back. So things like printing paper, and if you have to like pay for an attorney maybe, and so basically those are not as comprehensive as something like LifeLock. The only problem is that LifeLock costs money every single month. So I am going to put up a discount code that I have where it will be $6 instead of $10 a month. But this is also like, why do I as a consumer have to pay money for a mistake that a company who I didn't even know had my information lost? That doesn't make any sense. We are paying money to protect our identities from the people we didn't even know we were entrusting to protect our identities.
Wait, that sounds kind of like mafia protection stuff.
Right? Well, that's the thing is, and I want to emphasize, like, please don't live in fear of this. Be aware of it. If LifeLock makes sense to you because it's something that you're concerned about, go for it. If paying for credit monitoring makes sense for you, go for it. I feel like that because identity theft has become so prevalent and can potentially become more prevalent because of this in the next couple years, I feel like solutions are going to be coming out that we're going to see. I feel like tools like Credit Karma and Mint and other credit monitoring services that are coming out are going to be really instrumental in terms of at least alerting us when something changes on our credit. And so LifeLock, again, it is more comprehensive, but it's something that, like, you know, you get it for a year and then what happens, right? It does feel like this thing where, does this mean I have to pay for this for the rest of my life because of what information is potentially floating out there? So that is an option. The other option is, and this is probably the most drastic one, is a credit freeze. And so a credit freeze, one, it costs money depending on what state you live in. It's free in New York, but a credit freeze basically, it lasts for up to a year and it freezes your credit so no one can check your credit, including yourself, unless you temporarily unfreeze it within that year. So a credit freeze is probably the most rock solid protection. It's preventative, similar to a credit fraud alert, but lasts much longer and is also way more of like, you know, turning the lock and throwing away the key kind of thing for at least a year, where no one can really access your information, including yourself. So you have to choose a PIN number that you can't forget, or you can't access your credit ever for the year. And if you need to temporarily unlock it, that's the only way to do it. And I'd say the credit freeze is pretty drastic.
It sounds complicated too, just for
your
life.
It is, and it costs money. But if you don't anticipate that you'll be taking out credit in the next year or that anyone needs to check it, then a credit freeze is not a bad idea. If you're in the military, you can freeze it for up to 7 years. Elizabeth Warren, bless her heart, has a bill out to make it free for everyone to do a credit freeze. You have to do a credit freeze at each individual bureau. So you have to pay for a credit freeze at the 3 different bureaus for the credit freeze to be fully in effect. It's total bullshit. Credit freezes in the past weren't even a thing that were on anybody's radar. It's the thing that John Oliver recommends as like the least shitty option of all the shitty options. But again, it only lasts for a year. It's not free in every state.
And is it really going to do anything for me?
I mean, people can't access your credit for a year.
You should have seen the face she just made. It was
I mean, it lasts. It's the most sort of, especially in this time where the information's really floating around. It is it's the safest way to protect your credit. It's the most comprehensive way to protect your credit. It's the most proactive way to protect your credit. It's not just monitoring. It's not just a credit fraud alert. People can't actually pull your credit, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but including you, right?
Including you. Yeah. Which, yeah,
So.
like you can't even go on Credit Karma.
So yay.
Yay. I know. Another tip that I do want to give is I mentioned that people are taking people's tax returns, and now that 145 million social security numbers are floating out there, tax return fraud has become much more prevalent in the last several years. We've talked about it on the show before, but people are filing tax returns under other people's social security numbers and stealing their tax refunds. That's just happening. So highly recommend, especially in 2018, to file your 2017 taxes as soon as you get those W-2s. As soon as your employer is required to send your W-2 out by the end of January. So you should have the information that you need. And 1099, same thing. So you should have the information that you need by early February, hopefully at the latest. You can also have an accountant actually pull a transcript from the IRS to find out what tax documents other companies have reported. So if you're not sure you got all your 1099s or all your W-2s, if you've had income from different sources this last year, you can have an accountant actually request a transcript to pull all of that information. You can also go in and request it yourself, but it's a pain in the ass. Let an accountant do it. Give them power of attorney, all of that kind of stuff. And file your taxes as early as you can, especially if you feel like you're going to get a refund. For all us freelancers out there who owe taxes, we don't have to worry about that, I guess.
Ooh. Hey, guys, can y'all just do that? Can you take on the taxes we owe?
Yeah, right. Please file my taxes and pay the taxes that I owe. That would
just
be
hack
great.
it and pay it.
Yeah, take them. So, yeah, it's a little bit less of an urgency for freelancers, which is good because our taxes are a little more complicated. But, yeah, that's one thing, especially if you have W-2 income and you anticipate a refund like you tend to get every year. Make sure you file your taxes early. Get that credit freeze if you're really concerned. Sign up for one of these credit monitoring services. Equifax is just fine. If you wanted to just take advantage of it for a year, you have until January to sign up for it. The credit fraud alert is something that you should do if you've been the victim of identity theft, to make sure that they're not continuing to try and basically take more of your credit or open more cards under your account. And dialect. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. That was a lot.
Yeah, that's okay. You didn't do it. Did you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just check. We're confirming here that Pam didn't do it.
I didn't. Yes, it's on the air. It's on record.
Yeah. So song time now.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go to
So
the song.
next we are going to a little town of Ragnarok with a band called Death Penalty for Corporations with their song "Equifax We're Dragging You to Hell" and Wells Fargo is next. No, I'm kidding.
Dang it! I was
That-
like, wow, how on topic.
No,
dialect.
But anybody out there who wants to put together that band, I'm down.
We're in.
I really want to see that happen. Actually, we do have another appropriate song. This is a band out of Aurora, Illinois, called Security Culture, made up of an MC Andro and on the drums, Brian Ramirez, the Beast, and they've got a song called "Flying," aka "Falling with Style." And we'll catch you in a minute. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio.
just me, or does this place give you the creeps? It's like a ghost is following close behind you just to catch you slipping. Catch me if you can. Look, my no hands up in the air. I won again. Yeah, I am insane. Yeah, I am in love. And yeah, I am in pain. I just can't get enough. Yeah, I just want the taste. Now give me the whole couplet. Jump, jump, jump. Everything has to happen for a reason. I don't know what was going through my head that night. I'm in too deep for my stomach to keep this SHIT down. I'll spew it up truck for you, exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I am insane, yeah, I am in love, and yeah, I am in pain. I just can't get enough, yeah, I just want the taste. Now give me the whole couplet. Jump, jump, jump. One moment I'm here, another, and I'm gone. Did I just wing this, or did I know what was going on? Flying and falling with style, I'll let you be the judge. Death defying, cushion landing. Still I'm lying, or shouldn't be standing. I can't take back anything, but I can at least try. From the edge I will fly, never tell another lie. They say there's a place in hell for the people like me, and I cannot seem to do anything but agree. Yeah, I am insane, yeah, I am in love, and yeah, I am in pain. I just can't get enough, yeah, I just want the taste. Now give me the whole couplet. Jump, jump, jump. One moment I'm here, another, and I'm gone. Did I just win this, or did I know what was going on? Flying or falling with style, I'll let you be the judge. This one's for you, Brian.
And we're back. That was Flying, aka Falling with Style by Security Culture. And right now, I feel like everybody's falling. Not Alicia Keys style, In and Out of Love.
You just put that song in my head.
We're just
Dang
falling.
it.
Well, no,
We're
that's
just
all.
falling.
No, yes. Anyone out there, please make that song. Equifax, we're dragging you to hell, and Wells Fargo, we're coming for you next. I think that's not too long of a song title, right?
I don't think so.
It
I
could
think
be-
it
that-
really cuts to the point.
That could be a whole concept album. If any of my theater makers wants to make that into like a rock musical, that would be.
Right?
I'm just
Right.
saying, we need that kind of catharsis right now.
We really do. We really do. I'm like getting angry all over again about this. So
And please feel free to be upset about this, because this is people playing around with your life and acting like it's no big deal.
right. Well, and that's the thing. So these couple articles that I found that I thought were really sort of great think pieces, Fortune, NPR, and Wired, all had some good information on what's sort of happening, what they feel like should happen. One interesting thing that the Fortune article brought up is that unlike food, medicine, toys, and other consumer goods, there are no real criminal or civil laws that punish companies when they're careless with consumer data. The laws haven't caught up to that yet. And so that is why people are at a loss for what should be happening to Equifax at this point. And these three agencies overall have this monopoly over data. Consumer, like critical, personal consumer data is controlled by these three companies.
Yeah. I mean, when I first was learning about these guys, I think when I was like 19 or 20 and I was first, or probably 17 or 18, I was like first out on my own and like dealing with all these money things. And, you know, the websites were way crappier back then, and you had to go on the website and have them mail you something.
Right.
And we believed why they had to mail it to us because that was going to be more secure and all of that. And even then, I was perplexed at how these guys had such control over my life.
Right. It's
and I didn't even know the half.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing that the Fortune article brought up is they don't give a shit about you as a consumer. They have no reason to. They have no incentive to protect your data because their job, the way they make their money, is not from you. They sell your information to banks, mortgage providers, marketers. That's where they make their money. They're a business-to-business company. That is why a lot of consumers haven't heard of them until now, because they're not consumer-facing. They don't have any incentive to market to you.
McDonald's has more incentive to care about your existence than these guys.
Straight up. Well, and they have more regulation. They have to sell you something that passes for food.
Wow. That's ill. Yo, remember when, who was it? Taco Bell. They got fined for failing to meet the meat standard.
Yeah.
Which was a really low standard.
It's 40%.
40% of your meat got to be meat to be counted as meat. I don't know what the other 60% is, but it doesn't necessarily meet. And they failed to meet that standard. That means that very low bar is one that Equifax doesn't even have and still managed to trip over it and fall on their face.
Yeah.
You guys suck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the idea of regulating consumer data, I can't imagine how long it's going to take the government to catch up. And this, I don't know how big of a wake-up call this is, or if this was a big enough one.
Is it a wrap already? If they've got everybody's everything.
Right. If it's already released, right, then what happens? And that's the crazy thing, too, is like, did Equifax not encrypt this shit? I guess you can figure out how to unencrypt it, but like, man, like what? They didn't have a backup plan for like half of America's anyway.
Yeah,
now
you know, I know when I watch,
but
I don't know if this is like how for real this is, but I know when, whenever you're watching like the TV show and there's someone trying to steal like the nuclear launch codes and like crazy stuff, it's always like, well, this isn't actually online. It's in a computer that is not attached to the internet, locked in a room, locked in a box, locked in a lead-lined cell underneath with armed guards who have armed guards on their armed guards. So
the other day, I was renting a car. And I was noticing the computer system was like this super old, like Linux, MS-DOS thing, whatever. And I was chatting it up with the rental car company guy. And he was like, yeah, they refuse to upgrade this system, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that's so annoying, isn't it? And he was like, yeah, it's annoying. And like the printer was still a dot matrix printer and all of that kind of stuff. He was like, yeah, it's annoying, but the reason they're not upgrading it is because no one can hack into this system. The rental car company has better security.
Can the rental car companies take over?
Right. That's so crazy. Yeah, they were like, we don't have any. If they updated this, the ability for someone to hack the rental car company's information will go up exponentially. So they're like, we just have to deal with this ancient system so that no one can steal your information.
Guys, you got to step your game up to be on Hertz's level.
Isn't that crazy though, that you have to like stay backwards?
Well, no, I mean, I
get it.
I completely understand the idea of, I mean, well, it's like people who
stand connected.
Well, people are storing records these days in physical form because, you know, our file formats change so often that we don't want things to be unreachable.
Yep.
This is actually, I don't think it's backwards. I think it's very forward thinking by keeping things in viable formats.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's not lazy.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, let's just do the new easy thing. Right. And they're training all their employees on this old technology so that they can protect their consumer information. So here's a crazy thing that Fortune also brought up.
Wait, you have new crazy things to say?
So basically, Equifax's 2/3 of their income actually come from selling consumer information to these sort of business providers, these third-party providers.
And so, the other third comes from kicking kittens.
Well, the other third actually comes from credit monitoring. So essentially, yes. Well, and the other crazy thing is they did the math, and if 1 out of 10 victims were to actually buy credit monitoring, because even LifeLock is linked to Equifax, right?
Right.
Then they would double their annual revenue from $3 billion to $6 billion if just 1 out of 10 victims were freaked out enough to keep doing this.
So to float another crazy thing, this could have been an internal hack.
Yeah, right?
Well, no,
Insider trading,
I
internal
don't.
hack.
I don't even want to start like other crazy unnecessary rumors.
We
but
don't even
the
need
sad
to.
thing about it is, if it was an internal hack, it would do them better.
Yeah, it's true.
That's so messed up.
Well, and the crazy thing is, so someone brought up boycotting, and that's going to be our show next week.
Well, yeah. Next time we're gonna.
No, they were like, they're basically like, we can't boycott Equifax. You can't boycott your credit score. You can't even, as a consumer, get away from this if you want to maintain any semblance of like buying power, your financial life.
That's just like self-farming, making your own clothes, and also probably not living in this country.
Yeah, exactly. You have to leave. You have to leave this system somehow.
Yeah, we're gonna have our annual. Man, it's messed up with this. At the annual boycott show, we're gonna get a little more into how much the boycotting thing even means anymore.
I know, it's gotten so out of hand. So, in terms of people taking action, Wired was the one that actually wrote the article called "Equifax Deserves the Corporate Death Penalty," and the first state to sue Equifax was the Massachusetts. So the Attorney General of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, is one of more than 30 attorney generals who are investigating Equifax, and she was the first to file a lawsuit. She's basically like, this shit is she didn't say shit. She said, I find this incredibly irresponsible and outrageous. The company and its executives need to pay, and reforms need to be brought to the industry. And I feel like if anything happens from this, some kind of regulation on consumer data needs to be put in place. I don't know if this is going to happen with this administration, with all the other stuff going on, but something needs to change in terms of how much power these companies have and how much information they have. The fact that we don't know what the consequences should be for such a huge breach is crazy.
I really have no idea. We should holler at Bex and Sarah again from Rad and see if they even have, because if you said that to me, like, oh, well, yeah, we should regulate. Yeah, I guess we should regulate.
But what are we regulating?
Yeah, what is that going to...
Food is easy, right? Toys, medicine, like tangible stuff.
Yeah, food, make food, toys, don't explode, medicine.
No poison.
Mostly medicine.
Yeah. But, like, how do you regulate this personal data? And the other thing that Maura Healey brought up, the Attorney General of Massachusetts, is...
Yeah, not the general. That's a whole different person.
I know, right? We never gave Equifax permission to collect it.
Never.
We never did. And maybe it was buried in the fine print of something, but, like, the fact that your mortgage...
I didn't sign anything.
Right. The fact that your mortgage rate hinges on these credit reports and these credit scores, and they are allowed to be this irresponsible with our data, is also really doesn't make any sense. And it's something that we never questioned until now, either. People didn't even know to question it. So basically, the corporate death penalty, and we'll end on this, is a rare but vital procedure called judicial dissolution. So
judicial dissolution.
Yeah. So the Wire, and I want to link to the Wired story because I think it really does a good job explaining it. But basically, Georgia's where Equifax is incorporated, and the state attorney general can file a lawsuit in the state court to dissolve the corporation if the corporation, and this is sort of the judicial dissolution, has continued to exceed or abuse the authority conferred upon by law. So if they find that Equifax has abused sort of its business practices and abused like consumer trust in them, whatever it is, then they can actually file to have the corporation dissolved.
Wait, so judicial dissolution, which is also sounds like a great track title. That is the death penalty for corporations.
That is the death penalty. That will
so
dissolve
it's
the
a
corporation.
thing. We can do this.
Yeah, it's an actual. Yeah, it's an analog. It's the actual thing that the Georgia State Attorney General has to be the one to do it because of that's where Equifax is incorporated. I don't know what pockets they're lining over there. I don't know what's going on.
Just do it.
Just do it. Why wouldn't you?
No, don't wait.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. And so basically what would happen in this situation is the dissolution would happen. The Georgia Attorney General would put together this plan to actually dissolve and take down the corporate structure. And then basically it would continue to operate, pay its vendors while the dissolution is pending. And then a legitimate business could operate successfully afterwards under new ownership. So basically someone else would take over what's going on with Equifax. I don't know if they would change the name or whatever. I would.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, but basically,
No one faxes anymore.
I mean,
anyway.
the scariest thing about this is this is the first time that many Americans have even heard of Equifax. Like,
unless you listen to our show, because we've talked about.
Yeah, because we've talked about it a bunch. But for a lot of people, this is the first time that they've heard of a company that knows more about them than they might know about themselves. Like, they know all your previous addresses, Dialect. Do you even know them all?
I don't know where I live now. We've been on the road for like months on end. I don't know if you find me, if you see me, point me.
I know. We're not
in
even
the
in New
direction
York
of
right
home.
now. We're in like Woodland, California.
Take me home.
Yes, get us home. So, in conclusion, we don't know what's going to happen to Equifax. I don't know how big of a wake-up call this is. This may feel like one of many things that we are currently dealing with under this administration. But I do think it's important for you to understand how to protect yourself. We really want you to monitor your credit in one way or another. If you're worried about someone taking your identity information, do that credit freeze for a year. Let yourself sit with it. Really, we have to be extremely vigilant right now as people who have financial lives here, as consumers in the U.S. And in a lot of ways, we have to be the ones who are protecting our own financial information. So on that really difficult note, Dialect, do you have any puppies, right?
Yeah, there are puppies that are puppies do not have credit scores.
They don't.
So Equifax, you can't get to puppies.
You can't get to puppies. Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah, can we? I feel like we should have something better than that for folks to end with, but sometimes we don't have happy or even mildly nauseating endings. Sometimes it's still all bad.
Yeah.
We're going to finish off with a good song, though. We've got Trey Ease from Memphis, Tennessee with Credit Score. Watch your credit score. He's watching your credit score. And we'll check you next week. Bunch of Budget, Bonfire Radio. Get some self-care, y'all. Peace.
What's your credit score? Shout it, what's your credit score? What's your credit score? Let's shout it, what's your credit score? I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your debit card, what's your credit score? I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your debit card, what's your credit score? Racks up in my pocket, thicker than a dictionary. What else? They dead presidents, my pockets got a cemetery. What else? Foreign whips got me here, your bitch missionary. My bag's pockets got how much in the obituary. I get money, she got credit, so we both are growing. Hit the lot, she cop a Lexus, she don't buy a Buick. She don't care money, all she know is white. She got the Range Rover swag, cause her credit right. I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your debit card, what's your credit score? I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your debit card, what's your credit score? If your credit good, baby, I'll wife you. If your credit bad, I might one night you. He talking Red Lobster, that shit don't excite you. She lease her whip, you lead a lie with a title. You shopping Neiman Marcus, copping Michael Kors. Got a 2-story crib with the marble floors. Credit score high, you allergic to low. He tryna holler at you, you allergic to broke. I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough. Get a better crib, better car, better clothes. I don't want your debit card, what's your credit score? I don't want your phone number, what's your credit score? If your credit good, we can get some better dough.
convo. Hit her on the table and the bed, that's a combo. She said a man off of work, make it pronto. Finna go gorilla on that pussy, call me Congo. I'm a savage, you can call me Macho. Your credit good, I heard you used to fuck with Rondo. I've been trying to get up with your